Greetings and salutations to you all once again out there in YouTube land. It is me, the Ravenous Spectre. Yo. Anyways, this little video that I'm doing is actually why I prefer gaming. Well, like I've mentioned before in one of my previous videos, gaming today has its pros and its cons. Just like it did back in the day, it has its pros and its cons. I actually like gaming more today, and also back in, say, the early 2000s and the late 90s, maybe really around the mid 90s all the way up until now, you know, minus the DLC bullshit that they do when they pick and choose and cut different parts of games out just to get you to pay more. Well, fuck that. I'm going to take my $60 game, and that's what I'm going to use. You can take a DLC and shove it up your ass, because I got other games to play that are full games. So, fuck your DLC. Right in the ass. Anyways, sorry, that was another little rant about DLC. You know, trashy, piecemeal, bullshit DLC. Anyways, once again, fuck piecemeal DLC. Fuck it. Anyways, back to the main topic at hand of what the video was about. The deal with how I feel about gaming in the 90s is because the Super Nintendo was really one of those systems that I really, really loved. Yeah, there was a lot of games on it that I really liked. Of course, me being as young as I was, I didn't really know a whole lot about, like, you know, RPGs on the system and other great titles that was on there. I've had a lot of systems throughout my life. You know, the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, the 32X, the Sega Saturn, the original PlayStation, the PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, you know, handhelds, Nintendo DS, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation Portable, blah, 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 just a whole lot of stuff. Granted, I don't have all those systems like I used to back in the day, and that was due to the fact of I was mainly staying with my father, rest his soul, rest in peace. You know, he died a couple years ago. But it was because of the fact that, like, when my parents got divorced when I was around 7 years old, my father got custody of me, and he was mainly the one. My mother would buy me some games, and my father was the main one that would end up doing that. And due to some financial issues that he had to deal with from time to time, some of my stuff got sold. Well, actually, technically, it ended up getting pawned, and he ended up getting, just to get money out of it, and then he would go and get them out from being pawned, and then I would get them back. But there have been a few times where he didn't manage to do that, and then they ended up getting sold, you know. But that's neither here nor there now. You know, I'm a man, I'm making my own money, I'm buying my own stuff, and I'm replacing back what I had lost previously, so on and so forth if I choose to do so. But probably, yeah, around the Super Nintendo was when really gaming really started to really get to me, and then I got into Genesis, and the PlayStation was the main one that really just brought me into gaming more so than I could ever imagine any other previous systems doing for me. So I stuck with Sony, you know, all the way up from the PlayStation 1 all the way up to the PlayStation 4. And if you heard that in the background, I apologize. That was my phone going off. Somebody texted me, but whatever. I'm doing this video right now so they can wait. But yeah, the original PlayStation was a great system. It is still one of my all-time favorite systems. Of course, nowadays the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 have backwards compatible with PlayStation 1, so they're able to play PlayStation 1 games, so on and so forth. So I don't really need a PlayStation 1 system. It'd be cool if I can find one like really cheap, like one of those little tiny, you know, circular oval type shape ones, not those the rectangular ones or square ones or whatever. But the way that the evolution of gaming happened all the way up from like the middle of the 90s all the way up until now is just amazing, you know, with the graphics, with the storytelling, with the voice acting, with the gameplay mechanics, with just everything. Just every little thing that you can possibly think of. It just makes it an amazing feat, honestly. Excuse me. But when the PlayStation really came around, I really think that that was one of the systems that really just brought out so many quirky titles, so many random titles, so many crazy type of titles, you know, especially RPGs. Obviously, RPGs is my favorite genre, so it really brought out some awesome RPGs for sure. And a lot of, like, unique titles that came out too, which actually spawned some great series as time went on. And Of course, also at that time when I had an original PlayStation, I also had a Nintendo 64, which I mean, I really liked the Nintendo 64. I did, but there really wasn't there wasn't that system really didn't grab me as much as the PlayStation 1 did. And as time went on, I ended up moving right along and got a PlayStation 2. And the thing with me with the PlayStation 2 is really funny. The thing with the PS2 was that I had one system, and I think it was like the PlayStation 1 disc player went out on it, so I had to get another one. And then the DVD player went out on that one, so I got another one. And basically, I ended up selling that one because I wanted to get money. I don't know if I mentioned this on another video. If I apologize if I do. You can just mute this part of the video and wait until I get over and done with it or whatever, move on to another video. But anyways, as I was saying, was with that one, I actually ended up selling it because I was getting money to buy Xbox 360, because I was looking to get into the next gen of gaming at that point in time, and the Xbox 360 was the cheapest at the time, because fuck that $600 price tag that was on the PlayStation 3. It was freaking ridiculous, and Sony learned their lesson from it, and they ended up lowering the price. Just also like they did with the PlayStation 4, knocking it down to $400, you know, when it was released, which that is what the price should be at, $600, especially for the launch titles at the time with the PS3. Looked like shit, at least from my perspective, especially with the first Resistance, nothing but brown and gray, you know, it didn't look like next gen at that time. It didn't look like next gen. It looked sloppy, and paying for a $600 system, you're going to want like gangbuster games, seriously. As I had my 360 as time wore on, it finally came to that point where I ended up getting the Red Ring of Death. I never thought that would ever happen to me, because my 360 lasted for a very long time, but sure enough, it did. You know, anything in life is going to end up crapping out on you. You just have to replace it or fix it or buy it brand new. So I took it to go get repaired at a place, and they charged me, I think, like $40 or something. Well, turns out they didn't know what the hell they were doing, because when I got it home and I actually had turned it on, it lasted for a little while in terms of it playing okay, but then I got the Red Ring of Death again. And honestly, I was just so pissed off at it. I didn't do the little deal where it's like, oh, well, if you wrap it up in a towel, it can, like, cause it to heat up to the point where it can, like, I don't know, like, somehow acting like you're soldering the microchips back together or something, like it heats it up to make it run. I don't know. People were doing crazy stuff. But guess what? That actually started fires in people's homes as well, because they were covering up the vents of the system. It was getting overheated, and it was catching the towels on fire. I never did that. I never ever would do that. Or did I? Actually, yes, I did. I just now remember. Yes, I did. I just now remember that. It didn't work really at all. I was there the whole time looking out for it to make sure that didn't happen, but it didn't work. It didn't. I mean, it could have just been a rumor for all I know. I mean, I didn't go online looking for any videos or anything of it, but nah, I didn't go any farther with it than I did, because I was trying to do everything I could to try to make the thing work. But eventually I said, well, you know what? Screw it, I'm done with 360, I'm going to go ahead and end up getting a PlayStation 3. At that point in time, I ended up getting a refurbished one, and to this day, I still have my refurbished PlayStation 3, and it still works. Of course, you know, like I mentioned from before, I ended up buying a new one in another video. I ended up buying a new one because I thought something was wrong with it, and in actuality, it seems like that there wasn't. It was just the fact that the PlayStation Network was a piece of shit on PlayStation 3, and it still is to this day. That's why anytime I ever get anything on PlayStation 3, I'm going to go on their website and then get it from there and then download it to my system. I'm not going on Sony's store at all on the PlayStation 3 anymore. That is a headache and a half I will not deal with anymore. But when I got the PlayStation 3, I was just enraptured by it. I loved it so much. I was like, yeah, well, I'm not having any, you know, red rings of death with this one, obviously. And I also mentioned to myself, I also had heard that there was like some kind of yellow light of death, I think it was called, with people having overheating PlayStation 3s. And I told myself, hope that doesn't happen to me. And it didn't. Thank goodness that it didn't, because there's no possible way that I would have been able to probably deal with that after the crap that I had to put up with the 360. And surely enough, my PlayStation 3 lasted me all the way up until now, and it's still going strong. Obviously, I have another one as well, you know, but that was my own fault. That was my mistake, so whatever. Got another PlayStation 3. Uh, but then it finally came to the point where I ended up getting another 360. And the reason that I got a 360 is because of the fact that I ended up wanting to have just Microsoft's exclusives. There's not very many Microsoft exclusives. At least at that point in time there wasn't. At least for me, for what I was looking for what I wanted. There was probably other exclusives, but I didn't care about those. And Sony's roster of exclusives is a hell of a lot higher than Microsoft's is. So, I mean, I just wanted to have that 360 just for those specific exclusives. And it didn't seem like it was really worth it to me anymore. It seemed like I didn't really care anymore. Like I didn't really want to have anything to do with it. I was like, I'm not even really messing with it. And the exclusives was coming out because I had just like maybe a small stack or something of 360 games. Maybe like a medium-sized stack or whatever of just the exclusives that I was looking for. And I said, nah, well, I'm just gonna sell it. And surely enough, I did. And I ended up taking that money and I put it towards some games that I was really wanting to get on the PlayStation 3. And that was a better investment because I played those games. I don't remember what the games were, but I played them like crazy, and it was a hell of a lot better investment than me just having this paperweight sitting around with the 360 and not doing anything with it. So I sold that, got some games for the PlayStation 3, and time went on, and finally the PlayStation 4 came out. Well, I was thinking to myself, man, I've got to get that, I've got to get that, I've got to get that, I've got to get that. I was constantly just a thing that was going on over and over and over and over and over in my head. And then finally, when it came to that point where I was like, okay, friends were telling me, wait a minute, don't get it just yet. Find out what happens with these systems, because anytime you have the first patch come out, there's always something that screws up. Sure enough, there was. And I thought that I wasn't going to end up getting one of those, because I think what it was, now, when it came out near the end of that year, the very next year in March, in March, it was like when tax season rolls around at the beginning of the year, kind of thing. I had the tax refund that I got, and I went ahead and got me a PS4, and it lasted me for a good while until all of a sudden, I don't know why, but something happened where the screen just totally fucked up, dude. But what it was the system itself. Like, I would be sitting there, I would be playing, and all of a sudden these multicolored lines would end up going like horizontal and then vertical, and it would just make this really loud, screeching, buzzy, robotic sound, and then it would just cut off. I was like, what the hell was that? I thought it might have been the game or something. And that had probably happened to me maybe about 3 times, I think, altogether, because I was trying to troubleshoot it the best way that I could, and it still wasn't working out for me. So that's when I contacted Sony, told them the whole situation. They sent me a box. I sent it in. I don't know if they sent me a brand new PlayStation 4, or they just like switched out the components. I don't know what the heck they did. But when I got back, it looked like it was like brand new or something. But they told me that it didn't need to be sent. And obviously, I had a warranty on it. So remember that, people. Anytime you buy new hardware, get a warranty. Seriously, don't worry about software. If you don't have kids or pets or anything that's going to mess with your game disc or anything like that, if you choose to buy it physically, don't be putting no warranties on those things. That's just a way for companies to make more money. Seriously, take your stuff and lock it up, put it high up, do whatever you got to do with it. Be responsible about your software and what you have, and that way you don't have to worry about taking it in like, oh, well, I wish I got the warranty. My kid pissed all over this thing, and then my dog got a hold of it and started chewing on it, and then he shit on it and rolled it all over the floor, and then took it outside, and it went all over the sandbox out there that my kid plays in. Seriously. Take care of your stuff, and you don't have to give these few extra dollars to these companies that are just trying to get money out of you anyways. Just take care of your software. But when it comes to your hardware, obviously anything can happen to it. So get a warranty on it, and that way if something happens, and you can send it back, or they can send you a new one, or they can fix it, or whatever it is that they need to do. Because you never know about hardware. Hardware can be good, and it can be bad, it can be indifferent, it can be whatever. But with software, I mean, you pretty much just got what you got. Keep your receipt in case the disc doesn't work. Just take it back and get a new one, or whatever the case may be. But don't give in to this crap like, oh, you can put a warranty on it for $2 or $3. Man, screw that shit. I'm a very responsible person. My electronics are like my children. Thank God I don't have any children. I don't want any children, but me and my girlfriend are planning on getting a couple dogs, which I love dogs, and I want 2 dogs. And that's the way that's going to be with that. So that's going to be our kids. We ain't going to have no little snot-nosed brats running around, because we like our money, and we like to actually spend it on ourselves. instead of having to deal it with kids. Anyways, but that's just us. But the thing also with the PlayStation 4 when I ended up getting it back was the fact that I was just ecstatic about it, that it was actually working properly and running properly and all of that. And I told myself, if this ever happens again, I don't know if I can end up sending it in again, but regardless, I would probably end up buying a new one if I couldn't, with the whole warranty deal and all of that. But I mean, it's been working fine ever since, so that's definitely a plus for sure. But anyways, that was kind of a little bit of a history of how I feel about gaming, where gaming really got to me all the way up until now. And, I could go on and on and on and on about this, but I'm not going to do that because I'm already at 15 minutes of running my mouth, and I'm sure y'all have better things to do. But anyways, I'll end this like I always do. Later, taters.